leadership is less about authority and more about empowering others. I've observed that the most effective leaders create environments where diverse voices are heard, where collaboration thrives, and where people feel safe to take risks and fail forward.
Welcome to That Pivotal Moment of Change, the podcast where we dive into the career-defining moments that shape who we become. Success, setbacks, big decisions, we unpack it all. Let's get into it. On today's episode, we're excited to speak with Valerie Madden.
Hey, Val, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, good to be here.
Happy to have you here, and I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, I'm excited about having a chat with you as well. This is going to be good.
And let's get rolling. So, can you talk about your background and how you got into creative work?
Sure. So I have been a creative since I was born. Ask my parents, ask any of my friends, always been doing something fun with creativity. I think from a very early age, I knew that I was going to do something with art or creativity. And even when I was in high school, junior high, I wanted to go to art school and do something with art and creativity. And that's exactly the path that I took. I wasn't one of those people like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. For a while, I wanted to design T-shirts and surfboards and tennis shoes. That's one of the things I thought of. And then obviously it evolved into, once I got a little bit of a taste of what it's like to create for a movie poster when I was in art school as one of my personal projects, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do.
So cool. Movie posters is like a whole other world.
Yeah, it's super fun.
So I know it's been a tough time for many in the tech space with reductions. Having unfortunately been impacted earlier this year, can you talk about your experience and any helpful tips for anyone going through something similar?
Yeah, this is actually the second time I've been impacted by layoffs. I was at NBC Universal when they were first. I knew about that one though. They handled that one properly. We got a heads up. And I raised my hand for that one. I said, look, if this is what's going to happen, I want to be a part of it. I was there 10 years. I was ready to try to do something else. And as sad as it was hard. But this one, being at Amazon, which I was there almost 9 years, came from out of the blue. It was shocking, disruptive, really challenging because I was one of their top performers and I had contributed so much and gone through so much with the company and did not expect it at all. We knew there were rumors of layoffs, but I was like, there's no way I'm going to be impacted. But I was impacted along with many of my other colleagues in our level. And I've come to learn over the last month or so, because it's been starting to talk about 10,000 creative marketers in entertainment marketing were impacted. That's how many people are either out of work, looking for work, or shifting to another industry because of the entertainment industry being disrupted like this in a huge way. So and we can talk like when we go into some of the other questions going in, I'll do a little bit of a deeper dive of some of the lessons that I learned from it, but I just kind of wanted to set up the impact that it's had. And for me, it's been amazing. It was very hard in the beginning, just as a top line for it all. Very disruptive, but I really just took this time. I didn't realize how burned out I was. I thought I was staying ahead of it. I thought I wasn't getting burned out. And like, I realized, oh my gosh. And I mean, it took at least 6 months to stop feeling that buzz, right? Buzz from the go, 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 go. And being able to really regroup. And honestly, what I've been doing most of my time in, other than reconnecting with my friends, with myself, with life, with my mental getting stable with that. Also being able to dive into all things AI has just blown my mind in such amazing ways.
One, I appreciate you being open to talk about that and being a little bit vulnerable. It's, I think, just a very important topic to talk through, and also looking forward to drilling into AI with you a little bit more as we get going. I know you're doing some awesome work there. Before moving ahead on those things, I know you have a really cool background in the entertainment space. Could you just talk a little bit about where you've been and the type of work that you've done?
Sure. So I am a group creative director, executive creative director, senior creator, whatever you want to title it. It comes in that wherever you go is what you are. But that means basically that, and I'm in marketing. So My focus primarily has been for the majority of my career is launching television shows, films, documentaries, special series. When I was at NBC, I was there toward the end of must-see TV, so I was able to do the end of Friends, the end of West Wing and ER, and I was able to launch 30 Rock, Parks and Rec, and The Office. A lot of the comedies in that space. I was part of Friday Night Lights, Heroes, Parenthood, so many others. I think I did like, I don't remember what my final count is. I'm not good with remembering numbers, like 310 television shows during that time. I did launch The Apprentice and all the Apprentice franchise and was part of that for many seasons and so many other shows, like everything from launching. So our team, I was a group creative director and I led the key art of it all. That key art then brands the entire show. So the first thing most folks see is that piece of key art, whether it is a poster or it's something online, that little chiclet that you see that represents the title. We create that. A lot of thought and process goes into creating those because you want to capture the core essence of the content that you're promoting and sharing with the audiences of what that means. And it takes an innate, trained and innate skill set to be able to bring that to life. And you're working alongside with the creators and makers of the series and films and content, along with all the executives and the layers within the corporations. And you are trying to get this, even the logo that represents the show, the key art. And then when I was at Amazon, after NBC, I did that. And then when I went over to Amazon, which was really exciting because you go there, you're in a startup organization that is you're funded, fully funded to do incredible things. And I was able to apply all the things that I did at NBC plus more. I was actually able to do 360. So then I was able to do the trailer, social content, experiential, PR, all the other cool things, anything that represented the show and the film and the content to get out into the world. I was able to be the lead from the inside out and work with agencies all over the world to be able to get the content out. So I leveled up in a big way to be able to be a part of that process and learned how marketing works from the core and goes out for the entire process and absorbs so much. I feel like I got my MBA like 10 times over being in Amazon. So I was glad that that shift happened and I got to experience that.
I could probably spend the next hour asking you questions about doing creative work in that type of environment, but I know we have so many important things to get to today. Can we talk a little bit about VM Create?
Yeah, so that is my I've been doing VM Create for many years. I even on the side, I had side hustles helping out friends, or I had people connected with me that wanted to brand their personal identity. You know, podcasts are a big thing. Between NBC and Amazon, I was doing that full time, and I would brand podcasts before podcasts were popular. So I would give them the full treatment as if they're a television show. And I would create their look, their feel, do their photo shoot, figure out how to brand them, how to bring them into the world. And then I would do a lot of them were vodcasts. So there was video as well as audio. So I would create their IDs of what they would look like during the show, on the show, and all their social media that promoted it. So I did that. And I was able to do a couple successful shows during that time, which was really fun. So now what I'm doing with VM Create, which is really exciting, is that I'm continuing my consulting. So this year, I mean, I've been all of last year actually. I took pretty much the majority of last year completely off. And I just learned and absorbed everything AI, but I did have some consulting gigs through the end of the year. And my goal is now is to leverage VM Create to do even more. And I think with what I've learned, I'm able to set up any team, whether they're in entertainment or any agency that has not started to dive in and leverage AI to be able to ramp them up successfully because there's so much fear around it, right? So I am able to now understand because I understand the full process and I can get people excited about it. I can go in and I can hear someone's pain points and I'm able to find solutions for them, leveraging the tools of AI and showing them, setting them up how to use them and that they use them legally as well as successfully to be able to make their process more efficient. And the coolest thing, which you don't even know about, Ryan, since we last spoke, is that I learned how to make my own custom chat GPT now. So I have now put my whole process, and I've created a tool that's called Max Strata. And I'm in the process of, which is maximum strategy, to be able to put all the learnings that I've had through from my entire career into this app so that anyone taps into it, they're going to be able to generate a strategy, at least the beginning, instead of looking at a blank page, because you're still going to have the human element into it, but to be able to use this as your starting point. And you're able to, that took 2 weeks sometimes to do something like that. Now you can do it in hours, and you're able to get that down, and then you go and craft it to go to the next level. So I have a lot of exciting things happening.
That is so cool. And how would somebody go about getting access?
Well, right now it's locked, so it's not accessible to folks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some webinars coming up. I'm going to do some tests and learns with some of my circles and really hone it in to be great. And then I'm looking at how to figure out how to monetize it, because it is so powerful that it is a way to be able to have any team be able to leverage it to bring consistency and effectiveness and efficiency to their teams. Whether you're on creative or you're on strategy, you're on marketing, you're an executive, or you're a project manager, it's going to be able to impact the entire workflow in a really magical way. It's like having a magic wand, finally, a real one.
With all that you've seen with AI, what would you say has excited you the most?
Oh gosh. I think that I'm most excited about AI and the way that it empowers creativity without limits. It enhances collaboration, it sparks innovation, and I truly believe that AI isn't replacing creativity, it's supercharging it. It levels playing fields. It allows creatives to improve their analytical and communication skills while enabling non creatives to better connect with and understand their creative counterparts. Because how many times, I mean, I don't know if you've dealt with this, but you're in meetings and you have a senior executive or someone who's really not creative, they're just focused on the business, trying to communicate their notes and their thoughts about it, but they're super subjective, and they're asking us to speak in data points when we're presenting our creative, yet they can't share their notes back to us with data points, right? And you get into this churn cycle, and it's just really frustrating. AI levels that out, and it allows everybody to come to the table, communicate, stay in their innate gifts, and be able to deliver the what they're great at, but then be able to communicate with one another more efficiently. And so that's what I see. And as we all know, AI, and I'm hearing it over and over again, there's a fear that it's going to take over, it's going to eliminate jobs, it's going to remove things. But I see the opposite. I think that it allows people to focus more deeply on their unique strengths, like I just mentioned, and then it allows creatives to concentrate on what they excel at, and then allows them to be able to pitch their ideas more effectively. And then the same for the other side. And I think the real magic happens is harnessing AI to amplify human potential. And this is truly what I believe. I now can understand all the hype around flying cars and lunar communities and going beyond our wildest dreams. I can totally see now that it can happen. So that type of thing is what I'm excited about.
So, okay, we're going to move on here and get into some reflective questions. So, what are some key lessons you've learned throughout your career?
I think one of the biggest ones I've learned is the importance of balancing intuition with data. Amazon, I learned this in a really big way. I think creativity thrives when it's guided by strategy, and data becomes powerful when it's infused with emotional resonance. So you still have to balance the emotion with the data and the process of it, and allows you to get through it more efficiently. And so when you blend both, I've personally been able to craft campaigns that not only perform, but truly connect with audiences versus it just going out with guesswork, right? And so you're able to do that. So that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Another one is that leadership is less about authority and more about empowering others. I've observed that the most effective leaders create environments where diverse voices are heard, where collaboration thrives and where people feel safe to take risks and fail forward. Like, I don't believe that people are failures, and I don't believe for, leaning into the negative stuff and then managing them out, right? You figure out how to leverage that because they're only going to be better if you give them the space to be able to thrive in that. And then I've also learned the value of adaptability, because boy, have I had to do that so many times over and over again. And the entertainment industry, as well as so many other industries, it's extremely fast paced, and it's full of unexpected shifts. And I've had to pivot countless times, and each pivot taught me to stay agile, focus on the bigger picture, and see change not as a threat, but more as an opportunity for growth and innovation. And I think that to come to understand the success is not just about the work we do, but how we do it, and building, I think, meaningful relationships. Staying curious is important, and then maintaining a sense of humor so that we can focus more on opening doors than sheer talent alone.
I want to ask you about the point you made on adaptability and pivoting and change, which is, I think, a very tough thing for a lot of people to do, the uncertainty and kind of heading towards the unknown. Do you have any tips?
I think that I see this differently. Like, adaptability turns uncertainty into opportunity. So I think it's the way you look at it, so that when you are in the midst of it, that's how you see it. Versus, I know a lot of folks will look at it as a place of they're being controlled, they're being held back, they're being told to be a certain way, and or it's so overwhelming with everything that has to be achieved that they don't want to shift on something because they want to make decisions out of fear because they've done that one way, the same way for so long. But being able to be adaptive to how things are shifting, again, it opens up more opportunities for growth and evolution.
What are some of the bigger challenges you faced in your career, and how did you overcome those challenges?
If I look back now, I mean, there's little challenges I've had throughout. Everybody has them, right? But I think the biggest one has been navigating unconscious bias around dyslexicness, because I have dyslexia, and being a woman and a lesbian, both those three top in the midst of it. And in industries where historically, um, they're shaped by sameness, right? Luckily, one of the reasons why I moved out to LA and into Hollywood is because I knew there was, at least there at the forefront, there was inclusion and openness for both being out and, an out person as a lesbian. A little bit took a while. I mean, I came out almost 30 years ago, and it's still in the beginning was still challenging, but coming from North Carolina in the Bible Belt, being able to come here allowed me to at least have some freedoms. But it took another 5, maybe actually almost 10 years to really feel like I could feel fully comfortable. But dyslexia has been the through line overall, because nobody understood really what it meant. And I'm so grateful for so many of the leaders that have come out over the years that have talked about it. So I have learned how to see it as, again, it's not a learning disability, but it's a different way of learning. And the way our world has put that label on it and saying that's a disability, I think has hurt more people than it's helped them. And being able to reframe even that is like, these folks are more gifted in ways that other people could never imagine, but people don't know how to work with that, how to navigate it, right? So I see that while diversity has improved for sure, people still tend to gravitate toward those who look, think, and act like them because it's comfortable, and that nepotism and favoritism and hiring and managing and building teams are still challenges that persist. And I think that being able to navigate all this, like, that's what I'm saying, I've had to learn how to stay agile. I've had to be a chameleon. I've had to hide certain parts of myself because I didn't know how to communicate it. I didn't know what was going on. And other people, if you don't have the confidence to be able to understand that, then other people feel that and they reflect and react on it, thinking, oh, this person isn't a good enough leader. They're not going to be able to solve this. They're not going to be able to have my back in this or that, versus really not making it about themselves and really looking at the whole picture, figuring out the solutions, and being able to navigate that is all there. And I think fear too has been the ongoing thing. Like, often that drives human behavior, the fear of failing, losing status, or being disliked. And so it takes strong leadership, like the folks who are in leadership, to be able to transcend all of that and foster a team rooted in mutual respect and trust. And I think the core of that is for this. And so for me, because I've gone through so many of those things, I strive to embody those values and seek solutions and bring clarity and collaboration rather than divide or ignore, or to manage somebody out, or like, oh, I don't even know how to think like that. I've got too much to do over here. Just let that person just die on the vine, which is just sad and what happens a lot.
Unfortunately so.
Yeah.
I really love a lot of what you said there. I think there's a lot of just really good lessons on overcoming fear and vulnerability. Can you share an instance where a setback or failure turned out to be a hidden opportunity?
Let's see. I think that I'm going to reframe this question a little bit, actually. I'm going to talk about it because I seriously don't think that setbacks or failures are hurtful. I see them as transformative. And I think the two most transformative experiences have been through the layoffs that I talked about a little bit ago. And um, I see them as unplanned pivot, if we're going to align it with your show. They're unplanned pivots and moments to reflect, recalibrate, and realign at what matters most. And then I think these happen too often today and the way that they're going about it. And I think the ripping off the Band-Aid mentality is not good because the pain cuts much deeper and it leaves workers feeling profound sense of loss and instability. And businesses prioritize growth and profitability. And while that may promote human first leadership, they have that thinking that they want to promote human first leadership, but really they're only focusing on their profit and losses. Um, and the humans aspect of it takes a back seat. So in my opinion, it's an antiquated way of doing business. And I think treating workers like frontline in the midst of a battle where they don't survive. I mean, that's the mentality of it, right? It's when you have that type of thinking, way more people are going to be hurt. And education obviously will help them be able to overcome that. But I hope another area AI can help is to think about all of that differently and to figure out ways to set folks up for success. So my hope is wherever I land next, if it's a full-time opportunity, that I can be a part of reshifting the thinking around how to make those choices. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think there's hidden opportunities in both of those. And like I said, I'm incredibly grateful for the times that I had at both Amazon and NBC. Without those moments, I wouldn't have been able to learn everything that I've learned. And then the years after following both of those situations, the growth that I've experienced is just mind blowing. I mean, in both cases, because you're able to actually rest in everything that you took in and learn from it and be able to figure out ways of okay, how am I going to be even better, stronger, wherever I'm going to go next.
I love the way you're thinking about that. That's just, I think, a really strong thing, thinking back about not the negativity maybe that came with it, but what was the good and what were the lessons, and how did those experiences I went through help me get to where I am today and ultimately set me up for where I'm going to head next.
Right. It's still not fair. It's still not right the way they go about doing it 100%. But I'm just somebody. You can talk to people that I've worked with, they're all going to say it. Some people think I'm crazy. I have the rose colored glasses mentality, but I have to. If I don't do that, I will fall into a deep depression and I will just disappear. And I don't want to do that. Right. My life is too short and I want to make a difference and be valuable in the world. And I feel like you just have to do it. And I hope that that'll shift and change.
It's also the piece of it that you have control over. Like, you have no control over how a company will handle you, but you have complete control over what you're going to do next.
Right. That's true. Well, hopefully I do. I mean, that's what I'm like. That's what I'm envisioning and putting out in the universe for that to happen.
It's the way to do it. Can you recall a moment in your career that significantly influenced your path?
Yeah. Really grateful. While I was at NBC, I was asked to lead out in NBCU, which is the LGBTQ employee resource group there. So I did that for a couple years. And prior to me coming in and leading that, co-leading it, it was always guys leading it. They didn't have a girl coming in to do it. So I was able to co-lead it with a guy. And that was really a transformative experience because here I was launching these television shows, loving it. And I love this. I love my career. I'm so grateful for it. And I love what I do. But this brought in another whole element. So NBC was with GE at the time. I think they own them. So we were able to work through all of their diversity inclusion aspects of it. So it was all around, it was national. So being able to co-lead that organization within it was all volunteer. You didn't get paid more, but it was another full-time job, trust me. And we were able to go and speak. I was able to represent what it meant to be out in the workplace, to bring your full self to work. And the transformative experience is not only in myself, but in everybody that were a part of Out in NBCU it was really powerful and impactful. And I think at one time, because we were in the Hollywood Pride Parade or West Hollywood Pride Parade, and we did it many years in a row. And by the time, I think at our height, we had like 500 people come out and just march in our group alone. And it was LGBTQ plus all the allies. Everyone wanted to be a part of it because we were having so much fun just celebrating what it means to be in joy and being our full selves and being out. And then so all of that, the reason why that was so important is because um, we were able to then bring our full selves to work to be truly who we are. And were able to be able to deliver fully results rather than wasting energy and time on hiding parts of ourselves. So that part was really important. And I think that taught me how to foster authenticity in the workplace. It taught me how to directly impact creativity and collaboration and performance. And it also shifted my path because it made me realize that true leadership isn't about driving business outcomes, but it's about cultivating a culture where people feel safe, supported, and empowered to thrive.
100% on the shaping culture piece. You have any tips for anyone out there who's thinking about how they can maybe influence culture within their own company?
I think the biggest one is to allow folks to be who they are. Don't try to change them. Don't try to let them theory, right? There's I can't remember her name, and I should because I listen to her all the time, but that's her book that's out right now. And it's so true. You just have to let people be who they are so they feel like they're empowered to bring their full selves to work and not get in the way. Now, again, all these people have to be able to deliver the work and the results that they have to be able to focus on there, but you also have to let them be who they are. And you have to look for to make sure that they're not overtaking spaces. You still have to do it out of peace and kindness and gentleness and grace. So I think it's education happening on all sides and allowing people to be able to be that way.
And for this next question, I feel like you've had a through line here with a lot of what you talked about, but I'm going to ask this question.
Mhm.
What specific skills or mindsets have been crucial for you in navigating twists and turns within your career?
I think for me, it comes from who I am. I have both right and left brain in my head. My dad was an engineer, my mom an artist, and together they are equally represented inside of my being. So I have a balance of pragmatism and creativity, which I feel like has been essential throughout my career. So I lean on the engineering principles, which is efficiency, effectiveness, and structure, while embracing creativity, innovation. And I combine the two of them in everything that I do. And then on top of that, being dyslexic helped me to develop heightened observations and listening skills because I had to be able to adjust. And so that enables me to spot patterns, adapt, and problem solve differently than most people. Like I literally can see the light at the end of a dense forest of a project where people are so overwhelmed they don't know. It's like, no, I see how we can get through. Follow me over here. Let's get to the other side. And we just have to try some things. It's going to be a little hard, but we can get there. So I feel like I see that. And then growing up, like I didn't keep up. I didn't. It was very hard. And in a traditional sense, I had to work harder. I often without grace or understanding from others, and I was underestimated, categorized, and overlooked simply because I didn't fit the conventional mode. So dyslexia wasn't a challenge, but I could work around it and become a teacher of it. And I think the biggest lesson was that learning differently doesn't mean being less capable. In fact, it often's the opposite. So I have these terms that I've now coined as called zap lines. So this is one of them. It's like when you learn differently, you see differently, and seeing differently drives innovation.
One thing that's interesting, and I hope this comes out okay, and I guess I also think about it because growing up, and I still do. I think it takes me longer to learn than a lot of other people, and I've always kind of had that. And it's you can look at it and say, well, that's a disadvantage, but you can also look and say, well, it's also a superpower. Because of that, I think it's forced me to become better at a lot of other things and work a lot harder. It's probably for that reason.
Yeah, and I think this is the hard thing because it's taken me a long time to get here. Because I would say even the last 9 years being at Amazon, I still struggled with it because you interact with folks who have been able to navigate it because they're super smart. I mean, the most A-type personalities in a good way for the most part that I had at Amazon. So I'm working with the smartest people in this industry, right? And it was hard sometimes to be able to navigate all that because they can do circles around you and you got to figure out how to navigate that and manage that. And to be able to be around that allowed me to definitely grow.
And with hindsight, what would you do differently in your career?
I think, and I started doing this the last couple of years, and I think sometimes it got me in trouble because I'm still learning how to do it. But I've learned to speak up for myself earlier and often in ways to illuminate not just my needs, but the dynamics at play for everyone involved. And I think that leveraging disarming humor or grounding humor has been one of the best tools. And humor can like diffuse tension, it can create equality and empowers others to make them feel and seen comfortable on both sides of the coin. And I think that's why I love comedies. I love bringing comedies in the world. And I think innately, I'm not a stand up comedy. No one would think of Val as somebody who's going to bring laughter into a room. And every once in a while, I'll have a zinger, but that's not my core sense. But I've seen how people who have that have been able to advance in their careers faster than others. And it's something that I still haven't completely been able to do that because I'm just so pragmatic that I want to incorporate that. So I think that's my biggest thing that I want to be able to do is to bring that into the picture.
Looking forward, what are you most excited about?
I have to say the endless potential for innovation and evolution through AI, and being able to apply that to all aspects of my life, to career, business, and elevating everybody else around me. I think that's really, really exciting.
Talking about innovation and AI, obviously AI has been a huge innovation, but thinking about how people both individually and within their companies can actually leverage AI to allow themselves to become more innovative, I think is super interesting.
Yeah, and I'm very excited about where I'm going to land because I do have to figure out how to bring in income because I haven't brought in significant income in at least 6 months. But I'm excited about where it's going to go, and I think working with Max Strata, that's going to open up some doors for me. And that's the other thing too. The typical ways of getting a job, especially at my level, are closed. It's not the same. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit and wait for another door to be open. It's going to be another couple years before I believe the entertainment industry is going to open up some things. Hopefully, it's before that. But I had to take it into my own hands and learn this stuff and figure out, okay, what am I going to do in the midst of all of this? And I've not been this excited. Even my core circle of friends have said that, Val, we haven't seen this energy in you in a while. And to know, because I see the possibilities, I see what, and I want to be a part of that. I've been told by a couple of friends that you're a thought leader in what you're communicating and thinking. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take that. If that's something that you see, I welcome that for sure. But yeah, very, very excited.
Having been around the entertainment industry for a long time and being where you are with AI, where do you see the intersection of what AI will do for the entertainment industry?
I see it on two levels. One is I'm already seeing it a little bit. And there's fear. And there's so much fear around this because there are jobs that are going to be no longer, 100%. Anybody who has not started to work in AI, they need to start learning it and figuring out how they're going to be able to do what they're great at by leveraging these tools. So what I see is that production costs, I'm going to go on the development and creating of a movie or a TV show or whatever first. The more people can leverage AI to do that, production costs is going to come down because there is so much waste, unbelievable waste on creating these shows. Unbelievable. I've seen it firsthand from the budgets. They're giving these crazy budgets. If they don't make time on set, there's so many ways AI can bring that in. And so that once those folks figure that out and how to do that, because I've only done a couple short films as a producer, but I haven't been in those trenches as the writer and all that, but I totally value that process. I already see how AI can help them get from A to Z effectively, efficiently, and save money and be able to do more of it. Plus, the exciting thing is all of the gatekeepers within the industry, the executives who have made the decisions of what content gets out, what we see as audiences to be able to enjoy and absorb. Those gatekeepers are in fear like crazy right now because AI is going to allow creators and makers to get their content out to customers and audiences directly without having to go through those gatekeepers. So it's going to be configuring the entire business to be able to make sure that the voices and the stories are out there and get out there in ways that they haven't had to rely on before. So AI also is going to help do that. Now, in order for something to really go out big, like it takes a lot of money to do a 360 integrated marketing campaign, to do everything from the social to the digital to the key art to the trailer to the experiential, all of that stuff, millions of dollars, because a lot of my campaigns have been multi-million dollar campaigns, and you have to have the big companies to be able to back something like that if you really want to pop and go global. But I think that AI now is going to help streamline that process too for the marketing side, whether you're working for a big company or you're a smaller one trying to make a name for yourself to actually stand out from all the competition. So I see AI being able to bring all of that. So that means more jobs will open up once more content is going to be created, and then more designers, creators, creative directors, project managers, all of them to be able to get the content out. Because here's the other thing that I say a lot is like, even though we can do all of this faster and more efficiently, you still have to have the percolation time. The time, like, when is soup really good? When you're making it from scratch. I'm a cook, and I love to do this, and I love making my turkey soup a couple times a year. The more it simmers and sits in it, the better it tastes, the better it is. So if you rush through every process and you don't allow the creative to be able to simmer and sit, to be able to become really great before you release it out into the world, I think that's the challenge that we're going to have to be mindful of while we're going and starting to leverage these tools.
So I was going to ask you another question. I think maybe you answered that, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And feel free to tell me that you just said it. But thinking about where you were as a creative leader and working with designers, what do you think the future of design or creative looks like?
I did kind of say it, but I'll say it like in a nutshell. First off, I think tomorrow's designers will solve problems we didn't know we had. That's number one. And number two, it's going to be more efficient, effective, and innovative beyond anything we can imagine. And AI will be the co-designer of today as well as tomorrow, enabling creators to push boundaries and explore ideas and they've never been able to do before. So we're going to see creative excellence. Because I've got to say, if I look through my pattern maker, that are not pattern maker, pattern seer, observer brain, same. How many freaking key arts have you seen be the exact same with just a different head, right? That's just one example of how this could be used. You're going to see art and even the trailers. There's a way that people use to get all of this out just so they can get it done. Now you're actually able, most of my ideas come from dreams, literal dreams. I'll go to sleep, wake up, I'll have these ideas, and everyone, like if I'm in a meeting, I was like, I have an idea. I know how to solve it because I dreamt about it last night. This is where it's going to come from. I didn't take it from somebody else. AI is going to help me go from A to Z faster, but that idea came out of me, came out of my being. And as a creative, that's the same for all of them. They're not going to have to lean on taking something else and then making it their own. That's the key to it all. Music's like that, visuals are like that, all that. You're always taking inspiration, but being able to come out from inside of you, from nature, from all that, that's really imperative. And I think AI is going to allow us to do all that.
Very well said. I like that. And who have been your most significant mentors or influencers, and what key lessons have you learned from those people?
Because I've listened to so many people, right? I'm so curious. I just love listening to all different types of things. I think there's really not one person, including my parents have been amazing. Lessons that I've learned from them over the years. And I believe that participating in mentorship programs like I have been a mix of seasoned and emerging professionals has been key. But I haven't had one person that has been a through line. There's been multiple folks. And I think being able to observe both leaders that are good and bad have taught me what works, what doesn't, how to adapt, how to apply those lessons and goals to my life. And then my current thought leaders that I'm watching, observing that I've been taking the most out of over the last couple of years are Adam Grant, Brene Brown, and then Steve Jobs have definitely, I read that. I don't read very much because it's super painful for me to read. So I listen, but I read that whole entire big white book. And that was just amazing to have that. So my zap line to all this is that growth is all around you. And I sift through the learnings, adapt with purpose, and elevate to meet the vision.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And actually, Steve Jobs has done definitely some great writings. One of my favorites was the graduation speech he gave at Stanford, which is just a really cool read or video.
Yeah, I remember that. That was amazing.
There have been a ton of really good takeaways. I think this next question might be more of just a sum up for you. But what would you say are some of the most important takeaways from your career journey that you would want to share?
If I look back on it, if learning how to balance life and work earlier uh, would have helped a lot because I've been through a lot because it goes by faster than you think. I mean, I've already been working in the workplace for, actually, I don't want to say the years. It's been a while, but I'm grateful for all of it. And luckily I still look young enough and I feel young enough. I feel smarter, stronger, better than I ever have, I think in all of my career. The biggest, I think here's some practical ones. Don't spend everything you make. Be frugal, save, really think about that. And I'm grateful for my parents for teaching me that. Definitely max out your 401k, get that going, learn how to invest in the market so that you can have a little bit of a nest egg to be able to have some space to breathe when these awful things happen. And I think being humble and curious and willing to learn, like one of the statements, I can't remember who I heard this from first, but I am a learn it all. I'm not a know it all. I'm always learning, always evolving, always understanding that. And I think that a lot of the folks coming up out of school right now, and I've worked with many generations of folks so far, is that you still have to pay your dues. Like, don't expect that it's all going to be given to you right out of the gate. And to be able to grow into bigger roles and just really open yourself out in curiosity is really cool. And then seriously, even on, I know we'll talk about this a little bit coming up, but ChatGPT is your friend. It helps make planning easier than ever. You can check out, you can go to myprompster.com right now, and there's a bunch that you can start to play with in my Prompster Playground, which is another thing I came up with in the last couple of months. There's templates for strategies to stay on track. And I did like a countdown to 2025 that has some really fun ones there. And I have so many other things coming. So this is just the beginning. But and those are just least, if you haven't started working with AI, these things will start to get you excited for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think you just answered the next question there. Wanted to ask you about, advice you would give to someone earlier in their career who are still trying to figure things out. And I think there was a lot of really good stuff there. I really like what you said about the learn it all and being curious. Is there any additional advice you would give to somebody who is just more seasoned, a lot more experience, who are still questioning or trying to figure out where they're heading?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's helped me over the years, I know some people like poo-poo it, just for lack of a better term, but go online, find out your enneagram, is that how you say it? Or your DISC, your Myers-Briggs, like all of that. There's one website, there's a whole bunch of websites where you can take those tests online for free. Go and do that, get that data, download it on your computer, go into ChatGPT, upload it to ChatGPT, and have them ask you a bunch of questions to help figure out who you are. Hey, this is all of the data that I have so far from these tests that I've taken. Help me figure out what would be best for me, and then have that conversation with ChatGPT to figure out what your next steps are.
Okay, we're going to move into some closing questions. What is your favorite quote?
I love making up my own quotes. I hope you had a couple of them from this. And again, I call those zap lines. And one of them that I didn't mention that is on my website is collaboration fuels creativity and innovation thrives with freedom. So that's one thing that I know. But as for people who have inspired me over the years, Maya Angelou, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That one. And then Pablo Picasso has always been a through line. Learn the rules like a pro so that you can break them like an artist. And then Steve Jobs, think different, period. It's awesome.
And I know you mentioned content before. I did want to ask, is there anything specifically that you're looking at or that you would recommend?
I believe podcasts are the best because you get a sense of what everybody's doing. And then if there's a podcaster who has a book, then listen to the audiobook for sure. Adam Grant, I love his podcasts. He just had a really great conversation with the guy who started OpenAI that was just released this past week. I would absolutely listen to that one. There's a couple of others that I've been listening. There's Superhuman with Zane K. I've learned so much from him. He's talking about everything AI right now. And his email, completely go there and get it every day because I think you get so much. And then the other one, Jonathan Mast, who is an AI entrepreneur type of guy, has been incredible in teaching me when I do the online courses and stuff. And then another one was AI for Business. Those guys have, and it's so interesting now I look back at it, these are all guys. We're all the girls. I'm going to have to do something about that. Hopefully my Prompster Playground will do that to represent the gals out in the world. But I've learned so much from them already.
And where can people find you?
Right now, go to vmcreate.com and you can find the Prompster Playground. And I also own prompster.com and promptoteer.com. So both of those will go there. And then I'm on LinkedIn under Valerie Madden. And I go by both Val and Valerie. So whatever flows goes. And I'm also on Instagram as Val's POV. So those are the best places to find me.
And to be clear on this VM Create, it's VMCRE8.
Correct. Yes, the number 8. Yes, I got a little too creative. I know I've had people give me feedback about that. I was like, well, that's who I am. So hopefully it'll become a brand enough that it's recognized.
Well, I think this was great. Ton of amazing insight. And I really appreciate all you had to say, your vulnerability. And I'm excited to get this out there.
And my whole core and being is whatever I can do to elevate someone else's lives to make their life easier, because mine has definitely been challenged. I've been blessed, believe me, and privileged in a lot of ways, people would say, but I've definitely worked hard to get here. And so whatever I can do to make it easier for anybody else, that's really always my through line. So hopefully it does help a lot of folks.
I hope so. Well, thanks a lot, Val. It was great having this discussion with you.
Yes, thank you.
That's it for today's episode. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop a comment with your thoughts, like this episode if it resonated with you, and share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to follow so you never miss an episode. Thanks for being part of this journey with us. Until next time.